Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Kylee Cast. I'm Kylee Griswold, managing editor at The Federalist. Please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. In fact, we have a brand new channel just for the Kylee Cast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So if you are only subscribed to The Federalist Radio Hour or You're Wrong with Molly Hemingway and David Harsani, two of our other great podcasts at The Federalist, be sure to also subscribe to the Kylee Cast so you never miss an episode. And even better yet, if you're just listening to the show, be sure to go check out the full video version on my personal YouTube channel or the Federalist channel on Rumble. And then, of course, like and subscribe there too. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at radio@thefederalist.com. I would love to hear from you. This week, I am so excited to be joined by my dear friend, Suzanna Hake. Suzanna is a Christian, a wife, a boy mom. She's a political activist and an entrepreneur, and she has such an incredible and powerful story to tell. In fact, she has such an incredible story to tell that it's going to take 2 parts to tell it. So be sure to tune in next week for part 2 of the interview with Suzanna Hake, where we will talk about holistic health and her cancer journey and entrepreneurship and her favorite conspiracy theory and plenty of other things. But this week, we talk about what it's like for her to be a boy mom. She tells the story of her faith and how she was raised and how she eventually deconstructed from her faith and then came back to faith. And she also tells about 2 medical miracles in her family. You will not want to miss it. All of that and more on the Kylee Cast. Suzanna, let's start from the very beginning. First of all, thanks so much for joining me. It's awesome to have you here.
This is an honor.
Yes. Suzanna and I talk all the time, so this is basically just having our normal conversation in front of whoever wants to listen. So let's just rewind to early on in your story. I want to hear basically your whole testimony throughout the course of the Kylee Cast, but let's just start with how you were raised, where you come from, kind of what your upbringing was like.
Okay. So I grew up in the Chicago suburbs. I have 5 brothers and sisters. I would say I grew up in a very strict, somewhat legalistic home from a religious standpoint. I felt loved, had lots of fun. We had 10 acres and we spent a lot of time outside. And I was very close to my siblings. We have quite a big span, so I was in the middle. So I had a little bit of every one of them.
How many of you are there?
There's 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So loved having a big family. We went to church every Sunday, Bible studies, sometimes twice a week in the evenings. We were very involved in our church. And, when I was young, I didn't have an issue with it because it was just what we did as a family. Right. But, as I got older, it was definitely more of a struggle. And I think looking back, my parents did the absolute best that they could. And I really believe that their intentions were good, but there was really no discussions ever. It was like, this is what you do, do what you're told and don't ask questions and don't complain. And so, if you have a personality like mine, a little bit more edgy or, liking to push the limits, you just find ways to get around doing all the things that they're telling you not to do. So, growing up with a lot of shame, but just, it was easy to push that aside and not really think about it until you can't push it aside anymore.
Right. So you talk about the legalism and that strict environment. What specific denominational leaning was all of it?
We were a non-denominational Christian church.
Okay.
I would say from the looks of it, you might have called it Lutheran, hymns. I was a piano player at a very, very young age, so that was kind of my role that I filled. Never really was asked if that was something I wanted to do.
Okay.
And I always resented that as well.
Ah, got it.
Yes.
Okay. So was your environment, did you hear the gospel a lot? Was that a big part of it, but it was just overshadowed by a lot of the legalism? Or was that even not really explicit? It was more just kind of a rules-based environment where the real gospel wasn't even really a part of it?
I have asked my mom this question, and I've talked to some of my siblings, but I honestly don't remember hearing the word Jesus very often. I feel like it was very Old Testament teaching, and fire and brimstone and, do this and you're going to hell. It was, I don't know how that's supposed to be very inviting to a young person when all of your friends are doing whatever they want and, you just see the parts of it that you're missing out on. So, yeah, Jesus wasn't really discussed. My parents might disagree with that, but it's at least what I remember.
Sure. And maybe some at home, but like not in the church that you grew up in. Okay.
Right. And I think, my dad worked a ton. There were so many of us, we could kind of stay under the radar if we needed to, but we had land, we had animals, like there were chores galore. And so we were always doing something. There wasn't a lot of time to just, sit around and be lazy.
Right. So do you remember a particular point where you were just like, I'm not into this? Or was it a gradual, just kind of rebellious streak that ended in sort of a not very Christian way of being?
Yes. I would say it was more of a gradual. So I had an older sister who was not a good influence.
Okay.
She was 10 years older than me, and I was kind of her little baby. When I was 5 and 6, I'm very much a tomboy, and she would do my hair. I'd go to school. It was very much a dichotomy. I looked like I was going to walk down the runway, but I was dressed. My dirt under my fingernails was quite odd. And but she was participating in some things that were not great in high school, and so I was like little. I was 6, 7 years old. She used to have me watch soap operas with her. Okay. Probably not a good idea.
Yep.
And of course I looked up to her. I loved her. And she was so fun. And I think my dad was working all the time. My mom was running the house and just kind of not really paying attention to some of that. So when she moved out, now I'm getting into like middle school. And then once I got in high school, I was just like, I still want to do all these things. And I was very convincing. I was very good at manipulating my parents to think I would never do those things.
Sure. And you get really good in those environments at talking the talk.
Oh my gosh.
And walking the walk when people are looking at you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's really like leading a double life.
Yeah.
And it isn't good. It isn't good. And I think fast forward to when we started to have kids, I swore I would never, ever do that to my kids. But it's a whole nother story, but it became like the opposite. So for me, I turned 18 and could not go. I would have gone to a school, 8 hours away, but I went to Cincinnati, so it was far enough away where they wouldn't just, pop in. And honestly, I didn't even come home for Thanksgiving a couple years. I made excuses up why. And that, to me, it just is so sad because if my kids did that to me, I would be crushed. But, so that was kind of the nail in the coffin, per se, of like leaving. But then I graduated from college, wasn't ready to move back home yet. I started my master's, stayed in Ohio, and then I finally, was pretty much cut off. Like I needed to get a job. So I move home. I think I'm 23 at this point, 23. And I meet my husband. Okay. And he's amazing. He's, instantly we pretty much knew he was the one and I was his, and he was raised Catholic, hadn't gone since he was 18. So I'm like, oh, this is perfect. We don't have to go to church. Like this is going to be great. Yep. And my parents, I think our second date, they were like, when are you bringing him to church? And I thought, I need to get out of here. And so I told him, listen, I'm going to move out. And my parents are going to be really upset. And he's like, you're 23. I'm like, you just don't get it.
You don't understand.
Get it. I'm just warning you. And so I literally packed up my stuff. My friend came with her white van with no windows. We threw my mattress. It's really quite a story. I moved in with her. And I had a full-time job at that point. And my parents were basically calling me, telling me to get home. And I just felt so free. And that's so sad. But I did. I felt so free. And they didn't talk to me for a couple years. They weren't invited to my wedding.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty dramatic and drastic.
Yes. Yeah. They were not happy with my decision. And I didn't care. At the time. Of course, we've made amends and everything turned out okay. But it took a couple years. So.
Yeah. Stories are long. Thank goodness. Because Yeah, we'll get back to the redemption arc on that for sure. I actually remember when I first met you, because we met through a mutual friend. I was at coffee with said friend, and she was like, "Oh, can I bring my friend Suzanna?" And I was like, "Of course." I knew of you through the like county political activism scene a little bit, and when we first met, we clicked instantly. But the part of your story, I think at that point you weren't really fully like going back to church yet, which is so interesting. To me now, because so much of our friendship now is so centered on the gospel, and it's so funny that that's 100%. Not really how I met you. And where was I going with this? Oh, I clicked with you right away, and part of it was when I was asking you about your story and you were sharing this whole legalism background. I'm like, oh my word, I totally get that. And I didn't experience it as much at home, but it was the small town. Either you go to the Baptist church or you go to the Catholic church or you go to the Lutheran church. And, I was there raised in this legalistic Baptist church where we went there and my grandparents went there and my great-grandparents went there, and you just kind of do it. And, again, my parents did the best that they could, and then, reinforced way better messaging than the legalism at home. Yeah. But it's so stifling and it's so exhausting. And just, even if you understand the gospel, your motivation is far more about performance and not getting in trouble than it is about an actual heart motivation that's based on love of the Lord and, all the actual good stuff. So anyway, when I heard your story, I was like, oh, we're going to be friends. I know it. And it's just so funny that all the redemption arcs. So
yes.
Okay. So you meet your husband, you marry him,
yep.
You leave your parents. You're like, I'm done with all of this.
Yep.
Let's talk through like early years of marriage, how that was without having faith to lean on. Like, marriage is hard, and especially when you're adapting to the first year or two, or I mean, maybe a lot longer than that too. And also just your decision to have kids, to not raise them the way that you were raised. Like, walk me through a lot of that.
Gosh. Well, we just celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary yesterday.
Congratulations.
So we made it.
You made it through those tough years.
I would say our first couple years were blissful. I think for me, I felt so free to be I wasn't this horrible person. Like I had strong values and morals. Well, after I realized like I need to grow up. But you realize that this isn't the lifestyle that you want to live. I wanted to be a mom since I was 5 years old. And I was a teacher. So I had a lot of these nurturing motherly characteristics. And so, his family was amazing. And I instantly was like, oh, I just replaced my family. Kind of cold.
Okay. Yeah. So they had kind of walked away from the rigid Catholic type way. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it was more of a formality for him. I mean, they still, his mom was very devout, but, they were just this very accepting, loving family, and I fit right in, all athletes. Like, we loved a lot of the same things, big sports fans. So I think early on it was great. I'm pretty easy to get along with. I'm like low drama, just go with the flow, always up for having fun. And
I can attest to all of this. It's all true.
Yeah. I probably should be a guy. That's what my friends always said. You're kind of like a guy. I don't know if that's a good thing. So when Chris and he was working, he had a couple jobs in like the engineering field, not as an engineer, but he really wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I was like, go for it. Like, I have no desire. My dad was one. And I just wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to change the world. I wanted to be a teacher and a mom. And so I was pursuing that, and Chris was starting this whole, crazy, like, and getting into real estate. And then we had our first son, and Tyler, like, changed everything, obviously. I instantly was like, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to take care of other people's kids. I want to take care of mine. But I still kept teaching. But I was able to go part-time, and we just everything changed. Our focus changed to raising this family. We weren't going to church. I think we tried. We shopped around, we called it. But literally, when I tell you, sitting in a pew, I had like a visceral reaction. It was not good. It was not healthy. And that was all me. I was trying to control the situation. I was not open. Deep down, I just didn't want to go to church. And so I could only see the things that bothered me. I was not open-minded at all about it. And he didn't really care. So it was a marriage made in heaven, right? We just, didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah. And do you think, I mean, we can come back to this and talk more broadly about like deconstruction and kind of what that looks like. But do you think it was because you didn't believe it anymore or just because you didn't like it?
Oh, sadly, I did believe it.
Okay.
Which is a good thing. I just didn't like it. And I think,
like what was being asked of you?
Yes.
You mean? Okay.
Thank God for mercy and grace, because I mean, saying those words out loud, I'm like, that's so bad. So bad. So yeah, I didn't want to do it. I didn't like it. I didn't want to be in a box. I didn't want to be told what to do and how to behave, because I was a good person. And we had 3 healthy kids. We didn't really have any reason to need a faith. Again, I still believed. If you said, "Are you a Christian? Do you believe in God?" Absolutely, I would have said yes. And I mean, I would pray, but not consistently. It was very kind of watered down. When I needed it, then I knew it was there. And then, things start to become a little more challenging. We weren't the best communicators. Like, we need to talk about it now. Chris is like, I need 2 days. I didn't like that. So then there's, behaviors like, well, then I'm just going to make the decision for us because you're not making it fast enough, or the silent treatment, but overall it was still, we were fine. We were fine.
Right.
And you're so busy when you've got little kids, the next day starts over and you're like, all right, we're all right. We're all right. So yeah, that was kind of how we started. Chris became a full-time entrepreneur, and, as a spouse of an entrepreneur, I have friends that have said, I don't know how you have done it. And I'm like, well, I don't know anything different. I mean, for our entire 30 years and for the last 25, I've been an entrepreneur as well. So there's no regular paychecks. There's no, insurance. Like, we have to figure that all out ourselves. Right. So I wouldn't change any of that, but that just brought on some new challenges. But we still thought we could just power through and figure it all out on our own. And I look back at some of those times when finances were tough and when the real estate market crashed in 2008, which was a nightmare disaster. I think it was God. He was really kind of pursuing us all those years. And all right, he would probably be saying, this is gonna do it for them. And we would get through it and move on to the next thing. And he was like, okay. So several things happened in the last 30 years where, we were like thick-headed.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to get to some of those things. What was the final breaking point? Like, when did you feel that softening of, okay, I actually do need this, and the walls coming down, and the feeling of, not that visceral reaction when you walk into church, and actually being pulled and drawn back to the Lord? I
think there were little things along the way, but without doubt, it was during COVID, and a lot of things changed in my mind. I was just so angry, and I was looking for a fight just to prove people wrong, and my way is the right way, which I do think, I was on the right side of a lot of the things, but I did not know what to do with myself. I was like, how can people not see what is happening? And then I felt like it was my mission to make people understand. And so that was really starting to just kind of eat at me. And then
you're talking about COVID policy specifically.
All of that. Yeah.
Which that's actually how we met, basically, because we were both at like a mask hearing for the county, and that's how we became friends on Facebook, and then eventually met in real life. So that's so funny.
We can hang out.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. I mean, some of my very closest friends now, I met through that whole mess.
What a wild time.
Wild.
Yep.
Wild. So during COVID, we had some health stuff happen, and I don't know if you want to get into that yet, but I feel like these opportunities happen. My friend that you referenced before, we were at a coffee shop trying to find a place to work that we didn't have to wear masks, and we were just having our coffee, and this adorable young gentleman sat at the table next to us, and he was with his sister and a little baby, and we struck up a conversation with him, and within 2 minutes he said, we had a Bible with him, and we commented, and he said, do you go to church? And we were kind of like, well, she said yes. I was like, well, not really. And he invited us to come to his church.
Okay.
And literally the reason why I said yes was because they didn't require masks. So high standards here.
Yep.
So went the next Sunday, and I sat in the seat, and I was changed. I mean, it was, you just can't explain it. I don't even remember what the message was that day. I think some of it was just the words of this pastor who we adore, obviously. And I felt like this is exactly what I've been missing in my life. And at the same time that was happening, my husband was having some terrible health issues, which I was just desperate for something to come into my life.
Yeah.
And so I think all of these things were stacked, that it was going to be so obvious for me that I could not say no. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's not even that long ago.
No.
And I can't even believe who I am now. I have a long way to go, but it's crazy.
Yeah. The transformation is truly wild. And all of the ways that I have seen the Lord work in your life in the past 5 years is just truly insane. And like only God can do that. And it's so cool. Okay, so let's get into the Chris Health stuff, because there's so much here, and it truly, like, the type of story that gives me chills when I think about it. So, why don't you just share kind of how it started and what happened?
We get COVID like everybody did early on, and I get it, have it, no symptoms really, except lost my taste and smell, and just assumed that I had it. I didn't need proof, but I just assumed that I had it. He gets it as well, and has a little bit worse symptoms. But then like a month later, he started having some very bizarre symptoms. And he already has some ear issues, like some hearing issues and some ringing. But it was accentuated. And I just kept thinking, okay, this has to be like an ear infection or something. So we start going to some different doctors, and nobody can figure out anything. So it's like, oh, it might be this. It might be this. They'd send you to somebody else, and now you're waiting for a month to get into another appointment. And we were already, eating clean and, doing some supplements, but we just really upped everything.
Okay.
And he's progressively getting worse. And what he was diagnosed with was called hyperacusis, which is a very sensitive hearing. So when I say sensitive, I mean his own voice was too loud, and it was painful. So imagine your dog barking, getting ice in a glass, your doorbell ringing, driving, TV, radio. You know what I'm saying? So all of these things, he can't do anything that you would normally do. So even when you're sick, you could go watch a movie. He couldn't do anything. And it was becoming very isolating and actually very scary. And so a friend of mine who was a chiropractor, I was like, can you see him? I don't know. We need to do something. And she ended up, and I was already going to church at this point because I was just like desperate, and I was feeling the Holy Spirit there. So it was like my joy. And it was like the one time in the week where I was like, oh, I feel normal.
Is this in 2020?
This was in 2021 into 2022.
Okay.
But I had already been going to church for a while. So we go and take him to this chiropractor friend who does something called myofascial work. And she basically said, okay, wow, there's some spiritual warfare happening here. And I'm not in the room, I'm out in the lobby, and she asks him if he would like to have some like scripture, healing scripture. And he, of course, said yes. He didn't even have a Bible, didn't even own a Bible. And so she was the first person who said, I think this could be spiritual, and I think you should start reading the Bible. And he looked at her like, what? I don't even know where to start. So I think she may have even given him a Bible. And he literally started just opening up and reading the words. And because he couldn't talk, he couldn't work, he couldn't drive, he couldn't watch TV.
Which is, just to stop and think about that for a second, I mean, that's like hell on earth. That is like solitary confinement. I mean, that is the worst thing you can imagine. I mean, it's torture.
Well, and the rest of us are walking around the house literally in silence. So whenever he was around, we just didn't talk.
Right. House full of boys.
Right.
That can't make noise.
The oldest was already moved out, so
Okay.
it's just the two.
Okay.
But like I stopped doing the dishes. I like wouldn't make any food. It was just like, and then he felt like, okay, well now nobody can do anything, so I'm just going to go back into the basement,
Right.
or into the bedroom, and
Right. Again,
so,
solitary. I mean, it's
totally. And
total
I know he
isolation.
would not care if I shared this because it's really part of the story. But I mean, there were times where I was like, "Are you okay? I know you're not okay, but I think I worded it. Should I be worried about you?" And he swore to me, "No, we have, we believe in the Second Amendment, so enough said." I didn't think he would ever do anything, but I still would ask. And that is the hardest thing to ask your husband.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody wants to ask their husband. There was one time he was in the bedroom and he was laying down and he texted me. I was in the kitchen and he said, "Please don't come in here." He said, "I am not doing well." And of course, I go in there.
Right.
I'm like, you don't do that. And he just said, "I feel like the devil is taking over my body." And of course, that was just terrifying. And I, would reach out to my people, like, "Please pray. This is not good." And I'm sure he wanted to end his life. I mean, he never said that to me, but he has told me that since. He just wanted to be done. And this is probably...
People want to be done for far less. Like, and that was a prolonged thing.
It was 2.5 years. It was
physical
2.5 years.
and mental torment. Yep.
So all in the process of this, we had just built our dream home. So now we've been in our dream home for 2 years, beautiful ranch on an acre. I mean, it was just, we loved it. We designed it and built it, and it was amazing. Starting to think, okay, are you ever going to work again? We really need to talk about what we're doing. And the market was insane at the time. And we had actually had people stop by, knock on our door and ask if we would sell our house because they loved the look of it and the lot. And I was like, no. And then the third person, I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is something we should consider.
Yep.
So we ended up listing it. We sold it in 5 days, well over asking. It was insane. So we sold our house and now we have nowhere to go. And he's super sick. I also am dealing with something, which is another story. So we find a cute little house to rent, and we're still in that house because we can't figure out what we want to do when we grow up. But we now are in this new place, and I'll skip to the end, the miracle in it, because it's literally 2.5 years of just drawn out horribleness. So it's my birthday. This is a Saturday. And we're getting together with a bunch of friends, and he would try to go to things, and we would make all these accommodations. He'd come with like these big lawn mowing, jackhammer headphones.
It's like one of those newborns at a concert. Yeah.
It's really sad.
Yeah.
But he wanted to be there and the effort. So I was just having a bad day, total pity party. And I just said to him, "I don't want you to come. Like, I'm sorry. I don't want you to come. I don't even want to go, but they're going to make me go." So I basically uninvited him from my birthday dinner.
Okay.
And the kids came, and I literally tried to get out of it. I just felt like a horrible person. So this was Saturday. And I remember after I went into his office and whispered, "You cannot come," I went into my bedroom and I got on my knees, and that was the lowest point I had felt at this point. And I was just sobbing to God, "Please just bring someone into our life that can help us." And I mean, I'd prayed this prayer before, but it just was different. And so I go to church the next morning, and I was supposed to volunteer, and I said, "Please, I just need to come, can you fill my spot?" And they did. So I purposely show up late so I don't see anybody I know, and I can just sit in the back corner and just be there for myself. And my friend Miranda is walking in, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, hi, come sit with me." And I'm like, "Oh." So, of course, I say, "Sure." And I sit next to her and this other woman. And I knew this woman from 15 years ago. And within 3 minutes of standing there, she says, "Oh my gosh, how long have you been coming?" And I said, a couple years. And I said, I normally come by myself or with my friends because my husband, he's got some ear stuff. And she goes, "Oh, does he have hyperacusis?" And I'm like, nobody knows what that is.
Right.
So I immediately look up. I'm like, thank you, God. I don't know what she's going to tell me, but just somebody knows what he has. And she then said to me, well, I had it. I had a brain tumor and surgery, and so I had it, and I am healed. And so I don't remember what happened the rest of the service. I'm sure I was crying through the whole thing, and proceeded to meet with her after that day. And there were so many reasons why she shouldn't have been there that day, and I wasn't going to go. I mean, we were sat next to each other for a reason. So I go to her house, and she basically talks me through what happened to her, and then she says to me, this is how I was healed. Obviously, God healed me, but I did it through this book. It's a book that you can get in something you can program you can do, and it's called DNRS, Dynamic Neural Retraining System. And so she says it. She pulls out this book, and I'm like, we have that. Someone had given it to him.
Okay.
Like a month prior. He tried it 3 times, and every time he tried it, he had vertigo.
Okay.
And so I told her this, and she goes, you tell him that is the devil. He needs to push through that. I was like, okay, I will tell him that. So,
which also vertigo, another kind of hell. I mean, that's horrible.
And he had never had it before, but only when he opened that book. Okay. So I was like, she's onto something. So I get home, and I just tell him all about her and what she recommended. And so he pulled that book out, and he started it that day. Okay, so this is Sunday afternoon. Wednesday night, she came over. I left so they could whisper and have a little conversation. Friday, he was healed. Gone. All his symptoms.
Crazy.
What?
Crazy.
I mean, now, he wasn't healed in 48 hours. He had done the work. I mean, he had been reading the Bible and watching church online and meeting with our pastor. And so, I mean, he had been doing a lot of things. But I think he was finally had hope that someone else, he wasn't crazy. Someone else had what he had.
Yes.
And that combination was just like that.
Wow. So insane. And again, only the Lord can connect those dots and do that. And
crazy.
Just the way that he so providentially orchestrates our path to cross paths with other people. And like, he sees and he hears and he knows.
You cannot deny.
No, you can't. And there are times when for 2.5 years, you are in isolation and you cannot see why or understand. And maybe you still can't understand why, but just like the Lord is not gone in those moments, and he does not forsake us. And it is just so evident that his hand was on Chris and on you the whole time. And it's just, that story is mind blowing to me.
And I think the best part, besides the fact that he's good now, is that so many people witnessed this. I mean, our friends, I mean, I was like the worst person to be friends with during that time because I didn't want to do anything, but they forced me, and I'm so glad they did. And so many people were praying for me, and I'm not like a, down in the dumps person. And so I would try to like do normal things, but it was hard. And so so many, including my kids, but so many people witnessed the only thing you could call is a miracle.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that's not the only miracle in your family with your family's health. So,
yes,
not to cut the Chris story short, because I'm sure there are so many other things you could say about it. Yeah. But let's talk about the miracle of your oldest son, Tyler, his near-death experience, and how the Lord absolutely spared his life, and then ultimately gave him life in Christ later. But let's just start with the physical life of Tyler.
So I think the thing that with Tyler and what happened to him is really, when you asked me that question before, this is what I was going to say, but it was, I didn't see it then. I didn't see that it was changing us, but it totally did.
As the thing that was kind of drawing you back to faith.
Yeah. So it was, but it was really the first time I went to church and sat, in that seat. So this was
sometimes it takes a few things.
Obviously.
The Lord's over here with the neon sign like, hey.
Wow. Yeah. So many times. So this was 2019.
Okay.
And so our oldest, Tyler, was 21. And he owned his own business. And, just this great kid, like typical firstborn, so loving. He takes care of his brothers. He's just such a great kid. And he very much wanted to be an entrepreneur like his mom and dad. And so he had this business he had started at 19. It's a window washing company. And he was going to do a job this particular day. And so many things happened this day that weren't normal. He left about 11:30, and he said he'd be done about 1:30. I never get sick. Never. And around 1:30, I was in my kitchen. I was supposed to speak that night at an event.
Okay.
And about 1:30-ish, I went from feeling normal to, oh my gosh, what is happening to me? I need to go lay down. So I think I'm getting the flu.
Okay.
I mean, it happened that fast.
Yeah.
So, and when I lay down, my kids are like, oh, Ma, is Mom dying? So I go lay down and maybe take a little nap or something. And I get up. It's now 3:00. And I'm like, where's Tyler? Because he was living back at home for a short period of time at this point. And it just, something fell off. And we have Life 360. Even though our kids are adults, we still have it. I think it's so funny. And I checked to see he was still at this property. And I'm still feeling just awful. But I keep checking, like, why is he still there? And so I asked my husband to text him, because he said he was going to be home, and Tyler never says he would have called and checked in. Hey, I'm running later. I'm going to go do another job.
Right. Classic firstborn.
Classic. So now my husband's texting him and not getting a response. And then my middle is texting him. And now it's like 5:30. And this is just weird. He's not even home for dinner or saying he's going to be late. And so I go into the kitchen, and now we're all kind of like, all right, someone either needs to go over there. Someone needs to, you keep calling him, you drive over there, and let's figure out what's going on. So my husband gets in his car. My middle son is calling him. And then all of a sudden, the phone rings. Now, mind you, I'm in the kitchen, and I forgot that I am not sick. I have no symptoms, but I don't even notice it. I'm like, well. So weird. But it kept me from going to this meeting that night. I'd already canceled and said I couldn't be there. So my middle answers his phone because he gets a call back, and it's Tyler. And they have a few words, and he hangs up the phone. He goes, all right, that was Tyler. He said he's on his way home. And I'm thinking, well, what the heck? Why didn't he let us know? And then Tanner paused, and he goes, Mom, I think you should call him back. He didn't sound right. Okay. So it was the first thing for another boy to even notice that, Right. So I take my phone and I call him, and he answers, and he sounds super raspy and just not like himself. And I'm like, hey, bud, what's up? And he goes, Mom, I don't think I should drive. I'm not feeling very good. And don't ask me how I knew this, but I said, oh my God, you have carbon monoxide poisoning. So he is like, what? So Tanner calls 911. Now, Chris is on his way over there. The ambulance is now coming.
Did you have experience with this before at all, or what tipped you off to that?
Well, based on what he does, I knew he was power washing. And I don't know why I said that. Of course, looking back, I'm like, well, yeah, that would be natural that you could get carbon monoxide poisoning from a closed-in space using a gas-powered thing. So Chris gets there, and the ambulance is already there, and he's in the ambulance, and I go straight to the hospital, and I'm not thinking anything is super serious. I'm just like, okay, he's in the ambulance. They got him. It's all going to be good. I don't ever get it takes a lot for me to think of. I don't think the worst ever. So we all get there, and I go into his room, and he's got the mask on, and he's giving me the thumbs up. So I'm like, okay, great. This is,
He's good.
About 15 minutes later, the doctor pulls Chris and I out to the hall, and he says, okay, so he's lucky to be alive. Okay. And he said, but we're going to med flight him to Milwaukee because he needs to get his, body flushed of this carbon monoxide. I'm like, okay. So of course that's a little bit more serious. And my husband is definitely more of a, this could be the end.
Right.
And and he had a super important doctor's appointment the next day for a kidney thing that he could not, it took like 4 months to get into this appointment. So my best friend, who we've referenced twice now tonight, I'll go with you. So she drives down, we drive to Milwaukee, and the whole time, it's like an hour and 15-minute drive. I can hear the helicopter taking off. I am totally calm. And she keeps saying to me, how are you not freaking out? I'm like, I don't know. I feel like he's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they did the 3 rounds of, it was very fascinating. It was, interesting to be watching him in this big thing.
Yeah. What do they do?
So basically hyperbaric is, in the hospital, it's a big room like this size.
Okay.
And they, they all have protective stuff on. So they have something over his head.
Okay.
But they are flushing his body, pushing the carbon monoxide out of his body. And
like a respiratory thing?
Kind of.
Okay.
It's almost like taking you down into like what a submarine, would do.
Yep.
And they did that 3 times. And, they were checking in with me and, he's doing well. Still not thinking anything is super, super life-threatening or anything. And then after the 3rd one, they came in and sat down with me and said, he should not be here. Okay. The levels, well, no, that's a different part of the story. I'll tell that next. But he's going to be great. He's going to be okay. Now there could be liver, kidney, brain, a little bit of damage, but right now we're thinking he's good. And so now I'm realizing, oh my gosh, like this was really, really, really serious.
Yeah.
So I'm not a huge post these life things on Facebook, but I knew a lot of people knew that he was in the hospital. So I felt like, okay, he's good. And I want everyone to know that he's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I look back at that post from it was February 7th, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments and people reaching out, private messages and texts. I was blown away that this many people, really cared about this and him and our family. And so the best message was, so I taught kindergarten for quite a few years, and my students are in their 40s or something. Is that possible? And so this one guy, Mike Olson, private messaged me and said, hey, I just read your story about your son. Can I ask if this was the address? And then he listed the address. And I said, it was. How do you know? And he goes, do you mind if I share this story? I was the first person on the scene. Basically, I don't know what the term is, they had come in their hazmat suits and they whatever that is, they clearing the house out.
Okay.
And he said they tested the carbon monoxide levels at the front door and they said nobody survived. That's just the reading. They said nobody could have survived this. They didn't know who was there, if it was 1 person, 5 people. And so he was so excited.
At the front door.
At the front door.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was, he just said, I'm so grateful and we never have good news. So can I share this with my team? I said, yes, please.
Please.
So that was cool.
Okay.
And then
also that the guy.
I know. Little Mikey.
Was there first. It's so cool that your kindergartner rescued your son.
So cool. So, okay. So then we basically, get all the news that he's fine. Then Tyler starts to come around and tell me what actually happened. And he gets on the job. Yes, he was using a gas-powered, he was young, and clearly for Christmas he got a carbon monoxide detector to wear in his belt. He didn't crack the window. He just I just didn't think about it. Mm-hmm. So he remembers feeling very woozy. Normally he sets his phone and his keys up on a ledge. They were on his physical body. Mm-hmm. He just remembers feeling very dizzy, and he said, I'm just going to lay down. Well, he's in a basement. It's cold, hard concrete, and he goes to sleep. He slept for, 5 hours, 6 hours in this.
The whole time you're monitoring Life 360, and he's not coming home.
Yeah.
Because he's taking a power nap, fueled by carbon monoxide.
Passed out.
Yeah.
They think that his body temperature got low enough that also helped because it slowed his breathing. So he was hypothermia, right? Yes. Mm-hmm. And then he remembers, so it's February, so time change, it's dark. So he wakes up, it gets dark at 4:30. It's 5:30 when he wakes up, and it's pitch black, and he's in a basement with no lights. And he wakes up on the stairs. So that happened. Crawls his way out. He gets outside. He falls on his chin, he's totally like delusional. He gets to his car. He has his phone and his keys. His phone has power charge. I mean, all these things where he would have had to go back into the house to try to find it. He wouldn't have known.
In the dark, in the carbon monoxide. Yep.
Maybe then he passes out in the front yard. Who knows? So yeah, he just hit the last number that was called, and it was Tanner. And that's how the whole thing happened.
Wow.
I know.
So crazy. And I mean, what are the chances? Okay, you're testing the carbon monoxide at the front door. Nobody survived this.
Right.
What are the chances not only that somebody survives it, but survives it where it's even more concentrated in the basement, and not only survives it, but wakes up again? Like, wakes up. You know, that's not normal.
That was what they said wouldn't have happened.
Right. Right. Again, only the Lord.
Only.
His hand was clearly on Tyler.
Yeah.
So that's what year? When did this happen?
2019.
Okay.
And I was still, for days, people were texting, how is he doing? And I remember there's this picture I have on my phone, and I still share it. And he's sitting in our kitchen, and he's going like this. And he's, after, because I was sending this to a friend of ours, and I remember when I took that, and he just said, you know, I know God saved me for a reason. I don't remember him ever using the word God before, you know, and so, and we were all like, clearly. So that was kind of that. He knew he was saved, that was a miracle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So fast forward, because he was saved for a reason.
Yes.
Can you share a little bit about, I know it's like his story to tell, but a little bit about like how the Lord saved him again?
Yeah. It's so cool to see this happening to one of your kids. I'm going to try not to cry and try to get through this because it's just so cool. So he witnesses his own, you know, health miracle, and then sees his dad get healed. And in this process, we were going to church. He was not. He actually was really resistant. He, so like me, he was squirmy. He would be in church. He just looked, I do not want to be here. You know, finding, I don't like the music. I don't like this. I'm like, oh, this is me. So I'm here for it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And, the same pastor who I heard the first time, he talked about some things that day, and I'm not going to say what it was about, but it was very relevant to Tyler. And so he said, Mom, do you think I would be able to meet with Pastor? And I said, 100%. He would love that. So, of course, I texted. I was like, okay, you know,
it's
try
happening.
not to be trouble. Like, Tyler's going to be reaching out to you. And he's like, all right, I got this. And so they met, and it was a profound meeting. And then I think it was the second meeting. Again, I don't want to share his story, but it's so cool. Basically, he was asked specifically, you know, do you want to accept Jesus into your heart? And Tyler said yes. And so they went out in the parking lot, and basically he prayed over him, and he accepted Jesus that day.
So awesome.
So cool.
So awesome. Like, again, stories are long. The way that God orchestrates all of these things is so crazy.
That's
and
so cool.
Since then, we've gotten to see him baptized, and like, just, it's been really awesome. And he is a wonderful person. And so really, truly a privilege to like know him and know of his story so well. And yeah, just wonderful. So, okay. While we're talking about Tyler and Tanner and the rest, let's just talk about you being a boy mom. So you always wanted kids.
Yep.
Okay, you talked about how when you had kids, everything changed for you and you just wanted to be home with them, you know, that you were a teacher who loved teaching, but then you would just like wanted to be home with Tyler. Was that I'm so overwhelmed and I just want to be home because I don't want to work anymore? Or was it like a biological change of just like, I need to be with my baby? Or what was that like?
I definitely would say it was a biological thing. I was definitely the person who's like, I can handle it all. I can be a super mom, a super teacher. It's really overrated. People, don't do it. It's really overrated. But that was just the way I was raised. So I felt like I was an exceptional teacher. Being a mom was the most important job ever. I could handle a lot. My husband was traveling the first 4.5 years of my youngest son's life. So I was literally a single mom for 4.5 years. And then a stint of about 6 months, he was home, and then another year. And that was during the market crash. When you're an entrepreneur, you just got to figure it out, go where the job is. And so that's why he was gone. So
where did he go? Like, he wasn't coming and going. He was just gone.
He was up about an hour and 40 minutes away as a realtor on a amazing golf course community. And so we would drive up there on the weekends.
Okay.
But like, here's me, my 3 kids, one's a baby, in my Suburban, packing the car, the coolers, doing all the things, grabbing them from school, driving up, living large for the weekend. Like, just, you know, great. We were on a lake and we had a boat and all the things. And then packing the car up Sunday nights, sometimes really early Monday, taking them straight to school. I mean, we did that for a long time.
Wow.
Long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I never once complained because I didn't know that that was an option. I was like, no, this is the life that we chose. So I'm not going to complain about it. I'm so grateful for all the things that we have. And so that was, I didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
Managing the house, managing the bills. And Chris was just working.
Yeah. Just making it work.
Yeah.
Okay. So more of a biological change,
Yes.
you think. Did you want a family of boys? I mean, of course, like, it's all wonderful
Right.
and like
Yeah.
the Lord gives
It's a
you
good
what he's
question,
going to
'cause
give
I
you.
think
But I'm just so
people, yeah.
curious. Like, were you one of those people who's like, I'm going to be a boy mom? Because knowing your personality,
Yeah,
it's so
it fits.
fitting to you.
It fits.
But I'm just curious, like, was there a hope or a disappointment or anything like about not having more estrogen in the house?
Yeah. I wanted 6.
Okay.
But we started a little late.
Okay. 6 because you were one of 6.
I think so.
Okay.
I just wanted a huge family because it was
Okay.
great. It was just so
Okay.
fun, always chaotic, and it
Yeah.
was so fun. So Chris wanted 2, I wanted 6, and so we have a boy, which we want. We both said let's have a boy, like we can
Right.
plan it.
Right.
It'd be great to have that first sibling be a boy. So we had a boy, and then we got pregnant. And I'm like, a second boy would be cool because then they could be best friends, and then we'll have a girl third. So we have a second boy, and then we actually were toying with not having any more because he was really happy having 2, and he used to say, I don't know, we kind of broke the mold. These kids were super healthy. They were really easy kids. And he was kind of right. But I'm like, that is the dumbest reason not to have a third kid.
Right.
You know? So it took us 4 years to get on the same page.
Okay.
So we have our 4th.
Okay.
And
So 4-year age gap between those two. Okay.
yeah. And when I was pregnant, I said to Chris, you know, the statistics are that if you have 2, you're going to have a boy. So I'm just letting you know, we're probably going to have another boy. And I am totally cool with that. And I think he really wanted to have a girl.
Okay.
But
It's funny that he was the one who wanted to have the girl.
yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I would have loved to have a girl.
Yeah, of course.
But when I was a teacher, my favorite years, literally, my favorite classes were when I had like 17 boys and 5 girls. I struggled with the girls.
Yeah.
There's so much drama and they're 5.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
So I think deep down I was totally cool with having all boys. So we decided to, find out we didn't find out what we were having with the first 2, which was super exciting. And the third we decided to find out because I really wanted to get rid of all the boy stuff if we were having a girl.
Okay.
And the boys both wanted a sister, so they said.
Okay.
And the day we found out was on the way to Thanksgiving dinner. And I'm like, okay, guys, ready? Want to find out? And they're both chanting, we want a sister. And the nurse, I put it on speakerphone. She goes, you're having a boy. And they go, yay, we're having a brother. It was like, they didn't care.
They did not care. They're just excited.
No. And
they're excited to be here.
I was so excited.
Awesome.
And so, yeah. And then at that point, I'm 36. And I'm like, I think we're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
Yeah.
and as a kindergarten teacher, you were probably very well equipped to raise whichever it's going to be. You know, you're not,
Yes.
raising boys is not foreign to you even as a girl because you've kind
And
of
I
done
had
it
already
with other
had
people's
nieces
kids.
and nephews, and I was, lots of experience with that. So.
Okay. Well, and it is really fun because you do fit that mold so well of being a boy mom. So I just love it. But you also, in some ways, have a daughter now, which is
I do.
exciting because one of your boys is married. Which,
Yes.
like, how has that been? Just finally getting a girl
Yes.
into the fold.
It is really, really cool. And you know my daughter-in-law very well.
She's lovely.
She is amazing. And she is actually, I don't know if she would like me to say this, but I feel like a lot like me in many ways. We're both very opinionated. We have really strong feelings about certain things. We both love fiercely. And what I love about being a mother-in-law is like, I love a challenge, a good challenge. I'm not going to be like at least I hope not, to be the traditional what people, and I think you can have a beautiful relationship with, your daughter-in-law. You just have to know your boundaries. And, I'm very close to Tyler, as you should be.
Right.
It's your first. And but he's really living out his dream. He wants to be a husband and a father, and hopefully that happens soon, and a business owner. And he's literally doing, I think, God's work. And so together, it'll be so fun to watch them grow. I mean, they've only been married since May, so but we love her, and it is fun to have, someone who, I mean, I wouldn't consider myself super girly, but I like girl things, but it's fun to have that. We can go on a trip together and, do those things, which is fun.
Yeah. So awesome.
Yeah.
Bring that female energy finally into the fold. Very fun. Very fun. Yeah. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Kylee Cast. Please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And don't miss part 2 next week of the interview with Suzanna Hake. We cannot wait to see you again. Until then, just remember, the truth hurts, but it won't kill you.